A finished Quonset Barndominium under $100,000 is real, not a kit price dressed up as a house price, a finished, insulated, permitted home with every cost counted in the open. Here are the honest tiers up front. A basic livable finish on a 30 by 40 averages $45,000 to $60,000. A full two-bedroom family home, self-managed, lands between $73,000 and $111,000 with absolutely everything included. Under $100,000 holds with real margin, not by squeaking past. But notice the word I slipped into that sentence. Self-managed. There is one decision buried in this build, not the size, not the steel, not the county that determines whether you hold that line or sail $80,000 past it. Most people make that decision without ever realizing it was one. We finish there. First, the shape, because with this building, the shape is the budget. Start with the anatomy, because with this building, the shape is not a style choice. The shape is the budget. A Quonset is a series of corrugated steel arches bolted together in sequence. Each arch is self-supporting, and the corrugated panel performs three jobs at once. It is the structure, the roof, and the walls, one continuous curve running from the foundation on one side, over the peak, and down to the foundation on the other. There is no frame underneath it. There are no interior columns and no load-bearing walls anywhere inside. Load travels continuously down the steel into the foundation perimeter, which means the entire interior arrives as one open span. Now notice what that anatomy just deleted from your budget. No framing package, no trusses, no ridge beam, no framing crew. Three of the most expensive line items in conventional construction do not exist here because the panel already did their jobs. The kit itself is spare: panels, a single type of nut and bolt, an assembly manual, and state-stamped engineered blueprints. And the model you choose moves real money. The Q model, the classic full-radius arch, is the cheapest, running roughly 20% under the peaked P model. The S model gives you straight sidewalls for about 10% over the Q and hands back usable wall in exchange. Hold that trade. It returns later with a price on it. One sentence of honesty before anything else. The kit is the arch, and the arch is not the building. This video counts everything between the pallet and the finished home. The shape hands you three design decisions. Get them right, and the budget nearly writes itself. Decision 1 is footprint, and the rule behind it is the most useful sentence in this entire category. Size sets the rate. The fixed costs of an arch build end walls, engineering, freight cost roughly the same whether your building is short or long. A small building concentrates those fixed dollars into few square feet and pays a premium. A longer building dilutes them. That is why the 30 by 40 sits in the sweet spot this video benchmarks. Big enough to spread the fixed costs, small enough to finish affordably. And remember which direction is cheap. Length extends by bolting on more 2-foot arch sections, almost linearly. Width is the expensive direction, because a wider span demands heavier gauge steel. Decision 2 is light, and it separates real designs from fantasy ones. On an arch, openings for doors and windows belong in the end walls, the two flat faces, because the curved sidewalls are the structure itself. So the honest daylight strategy is glazed end walls, generous glass in the end wall doors, and skylights, which most suppliers offer as a standard option. Here is the pleasant surprise. The structurally honest design is also the cheaper design. Every render you have seen, with glass running down the curved flank, is showing you engineering surgery and a build to match. Decision 3 is the curve itself. Full radius models surrender roughly 25 to 30% of floor area near the edges, where the steel leans in over your feet. The under $100K play is a fork. Take the cheap Q model and buy the space back with knee walls at interior finish prices, or pay the S model's 10% premium up front for straight walls. Both paths get priced before this video ends. The unique design is not a style, it is a set of constraints that pay you for obeying them. Now the ledger, line by line. Benchmark. A 30 by 40, 1,200 square feet. Every line ground up, current 2026 ranges. The kit. At $6 to $20 per square foot, the shell runs $7,200 to $24,000, with realistic mid-market gauge and supplier landing at $15,000 to $24,000. The foundation. Budget $4 to $8 per square foot for a slab, and no two facts. It must extend below your local frost line, that is code, not preference. And a perimeter-only foundation runs roughly 30% less where your design and your inspector allow it. Delivery. The kit ships flat on pallets. Freight runs $1,000 to $7,000 depending on distance and site access. The end walls. The two flat faces are not in the kit. Factory end walls run $2,000 to $8,000 for the pair, and the base connectors anchoring arch to slab run $30 to $48 per linear foot. Insulation. Closed cell spray foam, the only option that works on curved steel at $1.50 to $4 per square foot. Doors. Overhead doors $1,000 to $2,000 each. Walk doors around $500. The interior. Framing and drywall at $9 to $19 per square foot, with wiring, plumbing, and fixtures stacked on top. Permits. $500 to $4,000 and up, set entirely by your jurisdiction. Now, where it all lands, and this matters, so I am stating it as two distinct tiers, not one number. A basic, livable finish averages $45,000 to $60,000. Simple, functional, done. A full two-bedroom residential finish, self-managed, runs $58,000 to $89,000. Two tiers, two different homes. Do not let anyone hand you one number and call it the answer. And even that fuller tier is still missing a category, the exact one every cheap breakdown online leaves out. Here is the category, and here is why it vanishes from other people's math. End walls, base connectors, spray foam, doors. Individually, each sounds like an accessory. Together, an independent 2026 review found they add 25 to 30% over the advertised kit price because sellers quote the number they control, and these are the parts that turn a stack of curved steel into a sealed building. On this footprint, that category is worth roughly $15,000 to $22,000, not optional, not upgrades. The difference between owning steel and owning shelter. So fold it in and state the true total in the open. A full two-bedroom Quonset Barndominium, self-managed, everything counted, $73,000 to $111,000. Now read that range like an adult, because the title of this video lives inside it. Under $100,000 is not at the edge of that range, it sits inside it with real margin. A disciplined build making mid-band choices holds the line comfortably. A maximal build, top gauge, top finishes, top of every range, at once brushes past it. The range is honest in both directions. And here are the three levers that keep you on the right side of the line. 1. Buy the gauge your actual snow and wind zone requires, not the heaviest one in the catalog. 2. Take the Q model and buy back the edges with knee walls, rather than paying the S model premium on every panel. 3. Run a perimeter foundation where your design and your inspector allow it, for roughly 30% off the concrete line. But listen carefully. Every number you have heard so far, every single one carried a silent assumption. The next section makes it visible, and it is worth up to $80,000. First, walk through what the money actually buys. Step inside the finished build, and the first thing that reaches you is overhead. On a 30-foot arch, the ceiling peaks near 15 feet at center, and because it curves instead of spanning flat, the volume reads far larger than 1,200 square feet has any right to. Visitors consistently guess the square footage high. The curve is doing that. Look around and register what is missing. Structure. No columns, no load, bearing walls, nothing anywhere dictating where a room must go. The floor plan is genuinely yours to draw. So here is the layout that works with the shape instead of against it. The kitchen runs along one flat end wall, where water, gas, and vent lines mount clean on a vertical surface instead of fighting the curve. Daylight enters the honest way glazed end walls, glass in the doors, skylights punch down the length of the arch. The middle third carries the living space under the highest point of the ceiling, and the 2 bedrooms sit at the rear behind knee walls framed 12 to 18 inches inside the steel skin, flat drywall, standard outlets, normal door frames, with the curved ceiling picking up above and spanning the full width. The finished red is a converted loft, not a metal shed. And the tiers you priced earlier feel like this. The $45,000 to $60,000 version is simple and livable done, warm, functional. The $73,000 to $111,000 version is a full family home. One quiet dividend, the spreadsheet never shows. A decade from now, when the family changes shape, redrawing this floor plan is a drywall job, not a demolition. The walls are the cheapest thing in the building. Now the decision. The one worth $80,000. Every figure in this video has carried a silent assumption, and here it is. Self-managed. You order the kit. You schedule the trades. You swing hammers where you can and hire them one at a time where you cannot. Every number so far priced your labor at 0. Now hand the identical project, same 30 by 40, same finishes, same county to a general contractor. Supplier published breakdowns for contractor-led builds of this exact home run, $93,000 to $182,000. Same building. Up to $80,000 apart at the top of the ranges. And here is the part that matters. That gap is structural, not greed. A contractor carries overhead. Coordination is billable. Every subcontractor's invoice picks up a markup on its way through. And the largest single change is the simplest one. Your zero-cost labor line converts into build hours, and there are a lot of hours in a house. So is self-managing actually realistic, or is that the fantasy? The evidence says realistic for this building specifically. Panels arrive pre-cut and pre-drilled. Connections are bolted, no welding anywhere. A crew of 2 to 4 people with hand tools stands a shell in days. Most buyers of these kits genuinely do assemble their own buildings, and self-assembly alone removes $4 to $10 per square foot from the total. And the design hands you one more gift: phasing. A bolt-together building goes up in stages: shell this season, slab and foam the next, interior as money arrives. That is how under minus $100K happens without borrowing at all. Now the honest counterweight, Inside the good news where it belongs. Your labor is priced at zero only if you actually supply it. No time, no skills, no patience, then the contractor number is your number, and that is not failure. That is arithmetic. The building does not decide whether you stay under $100,000. You do, before the first panel ships. 3 problems remain that no budget discipline touches. 3 problems sit outside the spreadsheet, and the first one is the trap built directly into this video's title. Insulation. When a budget starts drifting towards 6 figures, the spray foam line, one of the largest single items, starts looking negotiable. It is not. Curved steel physically rejects batt insulation. The geometry will not hold it tight, and gaps are where the failure begins. Closed-cell spray foam, full encapsulation, no gaps, is the only real option. Cut it to protect the $100K line, and warm interior air meets cold steel, condensation forms inside the walls, and within a few years you own elevated energy bills, moisture damage, and mold behind the drywall. Staying under budget by cutting foam is how people lose the entire building. If the choice is foam or the second bathroom, the foam wins every time. Permits are the second. A significant number of residential zoning districts carry minimum roof pitch rules or aesthetic conformity standards that a steel arch fails on paper, regardless of engineering. Your first call is the county building department before any deposit, and the question is whether an arch residence is permitted by right or needs a variance. A variance costs months. Financing is the third. Most conventional mortgage lenders decline arch homes. Appraisers frequently file them as agricultural or temporary. Comparable sales are scarce. The mortgage you will struggle to get runs around 6.5% over 30 years. The personal loan you will be offered instead averages 12.28% over 2 to 7 years, which is exactly why the phased cash route pairs so naturally with an under $100K target. The building that costs less than a down payment is the building you can own without the bank. And 2 smaller truths. The exterior is what it is, and self-managed months beside an unfinished build are paid in patience. 1 page. The title promised 2 things: a unique design and honest costs under $100,000. Here is exactly how much of each survived. The costs, restated once, as tiers. A basic livable finish on a 30 by 40 averages $45,000 to $60,000. The full 2-bedroom home, self-managed, with the hidden category counted $73,000 to $111,000. Contractor-led, the same building runs $93,000 to $182,000. So the precise verdict on the number, under $100,000, is not a fantasy, and it is not a guarantee. It is a lane. The self-managed lane, held open by 3 design choices: the right footprint, the honest daylight plan, the Q model with knee walls, and by 1 decision about whose hands do the work. Stay in the lane, and you clear 6 figures with margin. Leave it, and the same steel cost nearly double. Even the honest top of that self-managed range embarrasses the alternative. Conventional construction runs $150 to $300 per square foot. This building finishes at a fraction of that, with nothing hidden and every line sourced. And the design was never decoration. That is the part worth carrying out of this video. The arch does not merely permit the budget, it participates in it. Every constraint the shape imposes comes paired with the savings that justify it. The end wall, only openings that delete the framing bill, the curve that trades edge space for a structure with no skeleton to pay for, The foam that replaces an entire wall assembly. Obey the shape and it pays you. A structure engineered for a war, still standing 8 decades later, does not care that you built it cheaply. It was designed to be built cheaply. That was the whole point. 2 answers in the comments, and be honest. First, self-managed or contractor, led which lane are you actually in? That single answer is your budget, so say it out loud. Second, which fork would you take, the Q model with knee walls or the S model premium up front? I read every comment and I answer build questions personally. We cover alternative builds every week here. Real costs, real timelines, what works and what does not. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you on the next build.